Hi, welcome to episode 247 of your favorite daily podcast, A Couple of Things. And after a couple of false starts, today I'm going to talk about you don't have to work in tech. Yes, I know I work in tech, and it sounds a bit hypocritical for me to say you don't have to, but really, you don't have to. And also, coming from me who has a whole thing about how you can work in tech without necessarily coding, yes, you also still don't have to work in tech.
Honestly, take it from the experts. Run away. Run away.
Okay, let's get into it. So, I have an amazing friend, and I remember a couple of years back, we were all trying to, when everybody's like, I want to work in tech, we must work in tech, working in tech is the way to go, everybody has to work in tech, whatever. Because it's supposed to be like the safe industry, it's always growing, blah blah blah, it's perfect, everything's amazing, which is really not. Honestly, it's really not the best, to be honest. But anyway, and she was trying to get like content writing, UX writing things, and she actually was working with a tech company, but she was so unhappy. She was like over it and not interested in it at all. But she just kept going because working in tech is the thing. But eventually she quit, and she was like, I'm actually not doing this. I'm going to go back to do what I actually want to do, which is policy work. And so she started working in policy. She went and did another master's and is about to start a PhD and is just living her best life in this field that she actually originally always wanted to work in, but then was somehow convinced that she had to work in tech because that's the thing that everybody must do or whatever. So that's the first part. The idea that the best way to contribute to society in this era is by working in tech. You hear like, oh, we're in the age of AI and technology and whatever. But really it's not true, because also the idea that tech jobs are safe, we've seen how that worked out in the past 1 or 2 years. Not that great. A lot of people were laid off from a lot of tech companies. So yeah, every industry has its risk, and of course some industries will, or some specific kinds of roles will eventually be wiped out by new technology. I've talked about this before on the podcast, so I will not go too much into that. I'll put links in the show notes. But yeah, some roles will definitely be wiped out by technology as technology continues to evolve and new things are developed and so on and so forth. But that's not just the only reason why you don't have to work in tech. The main reason that I want to focus on or talk about on this episode is really about the fact that, like, if you're not interested, like, you don't even have to have tried, but if you're like, okay, I'm actually not interested in this, I don't want to do this, then you don't have to. And if you really want to, you don't also have to learn how to code, because one of the things that everybody says, like, oh, software developers, being a software developer is best thing because all tech companies always need software developers and they're never really affected by layoffs, blah blah. Again, we have seen how that panned out in the past 1 or 2 years. So everybody can go anytime in the way the tech industry is structured. Like, people don't really care. And there's a whole thing about founders and founder mode going on around right now. I haven't actually read the article, but everybody will tell me about it, but I still don't want to read it because honestly I don't care. But yeah, like, you don't have to be a software developer if you want to work in tech. That's one. There's so many things you can do. My favorite example to share is this facility manager who has worked only in tech companies, literally only in tech companies for their whole career. I don't know if they're still a facility manager in tech, because it was about like 3 or 4 years ago that I stumbled upon their LinkedIn, maybe even more, because this was way before I moved abroad. But anyway, so you can do all kinds of things and work in tech. That's one. But also, you don't even have to work in tech. If you have been sold the dream of working in tech and you have gone down that path, but you don't find it fulfilling, you don't find it compatible with your skills, with your interests, with what you believe your purpose here is, then free it, leave it, let it go and do something else. Go and explore new things that are not related to software or technology, if you please. Like, explore, discover new things, find yourself. You may discover that maybe what you actually really are put on this earth to do is to make clothes, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to build websites and write code and develop apps and do UX research or be a designer or whatever. Live your life, have fun, figure out what works for you, and leave all these tech people alone if you're not really interested in that. Okay, that's the episode for today. This was more of a bit of a ranty episode. Brought to you by no particular reason, but yeah, that's for today. Thanks for listening. Bye. Oh, before I say bye, I just want to also point out that they're like, I'm pretty certain that there are like at least 1 million different kinds of jobs. Don't ask me for sources. I don't have sources. I don't have data. But I'm pretty certain that there are like at least 1 million different kinds of jobs that you can possibly do in this life. And maybe working in tech is like, or at least in quote unquote core tech, not the quote unquote non-tech roles, is like maybe 10% of, less than 10% even. Because even with tech, there is more to tech than software. So when I'm in this episode, when I say you don't have to work in tech, I'm more specifically referring to like software development side of tech than anything else, because that's the part that everybody's always talking about. There's a lot more. There's hardware, there's other things. So yeah, there's more to life than building a startup and building an app. Please. Okay, bye for real. Also, ask me questions. Submit a question. Submit a question. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful, or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.